Welcome to Garden-Oasis. In this video, I'm going to show you my method for reviving a wilted hydrangea, or any other dehydrated stressed plant for that matter. Most of my garden is populated with plants that I got off the clearance rack, so I know this works. My method only has 4 steps. 1, you're going to remove the dead tissue. 2, you're going to grab a bucket or a bowl. 3, you're going to grab a garbage bag. And 4, you're just going to soak it overnight. That's it. That's all it takes. I'll also be showing you my results after 24 hours and then again after 23 days. There's a lot of chit chat and explaining while I work on these plants, so if you want to skip to the actual method, then skip to this section of the video. So now, without further ado, let's get started. I tried to choose the worst looking hydrangeas they had on the clearance rack, and those just happened to be All Summer Beauty on the right over here and Bloomstruck on the left. I purposely chose 2 hydrangeas that are in different stages of decline so that you can see that it actually works for any kind of dehydration issue. The first thing to do, even before you buy it at the store, is to check for diseases. Make sure it doesn't have any mold issues or pest issues that would cause it to die. If it just looks dry and crumply, then it's probably a water issue. Now, before we give it the deep soaking treatment, we have to remove all the dead tissue while it's still dry and easy to remove. Any dead leaves or dried up flowers or broken stems need to go. We do this because once the dead tissue is rehydrated, it turns into this kind of like mush that stays wet and sticks to the plant, and then it promotes mold and attracts disease. And we're just trying to avoid all of that. Of these 2, the Bloomstruck is worse off, but honestly, I've seen worse. I must have just missed the day where they go through the rack and like throw out everything they believe to be dead. But believe is the operative word here because most of the time the plants are very much alive. They're just having like an ugly duckling moment. It actually takes like a long time for a plant to die from lack of water. First the leaves wilt and then they brown and fall off, but the stems are still alive. Then, as the plant tries to keep its roots alive, it draws water from the stems, starting from the top. The tips die, and then the middle dies, and then the bottom dies. So it's drawing water from the top down to keep the main part of the plant alive. A little bit of the stem it tries to keep alive, and a little bit of the root it tries to keep alive. So it's just drawing everything into the center. So you can check to see if the plant that you're buying is alive. Even if it doesn't have any leaves, it might still be very much alive. If it has no leaves, how do I know if it's alive or dead, you ask? Well, you do the scratch test. You just scratch a little bit of the bark off one of the stems, and if you see green underneath, then it's very much alive. If you don't see green and it's like brown or black, then you move down the plant a little bit further because that's how it dies. It dies from the top down. So you move down and you scratch again. If you see green, good. If you don't, move down a little bit further. You want to keep at least, or you want to have at least a couple inches of green growth that's still alive from the base of the plant and a couple of buds. It's important to note that I am not planning on planting these out in the garden anytime soon. So today is July 28th. We are in the hottest part of the summer. These plants would not survive out in the garden in the heat of the summer. So what I'm going to do is after that I've treated them, I'm going to keep them in the shade, keep them bottom watered. The saucer will always have water in it so that they can take it up as much as they need and rebuild their root system. So right now, a lot of the root system, even if the leaves perk up and it looks healthy, a lot of the root system will need time to rebuild itself. So I'm going to baby them in the corner with bottom water for quite a while until they've fully recovered. This other one is just in the beginning stages of dieback, so it doesn't need much dead tissue removal. The leaves look dead, but they're actually just dehydrated. Most of them will perk back up after the treatment. Some won't, and we won't know which ones won't till after the treatment. I'm just removing these shriveled, broken stems right now that I can see for sure that are dead, because you see the difference. This one is drooping, but it's still firm, and this one is shriveled. The shriveled one will never come back. It's already dead, so that one needs to go. So now that we've done all the prep work, we're ready for the third step, which is the treatment. You're going to need a garbage bag and a bowl or a bucket, anything that's wide enough to hold water and have your pot fit into it. So we're going to use the bowl to soak the roots and the soil overnight. The reason we do this is because a lot of potting soil becomes hydrophobic, meaning it actually repels water once it's dried out completely. So if you ever seen soil separated from the side of your pot, that's what's happening. Every time you water, it just rolls off, washing more and more soil down with it into an ever widening gap between the actual soil and the side of the pot. So now we're all set up. I'm going to set the plant in the bowl. I'm going to fill the bowl with water all the way up to the top. And if your plant is so dry that it kind of floats on top of the water, don't worry about that. Just let it float. It'll sink as it takes up the water. Just leave it like that. And I'm going to either mist it, or you can put it on your shower, the shower setting, and just spray it down. The whole point is to just get the plant as wet as possible so that when we make the dome with the garbage bag, it just promotes a high humidity environment. Now I'm going to blow into these bags and tie them off. Now that we have the bags tied, we're ready to place them overnight. I'm going to put them in a shaded spot. Do not put these bags anywhere where the sun will hit it. The sun will make this bag into like an oven and you'll come back to a cooked plant. You need to place these in the shade. We're going to leave these plants here in this corner and we're going to come back in 24 hours and I'll show you the results. That small spot of sun that you see on the bag is not enough to heat up the bag, so I'm not worried about it. It is the next day, so here is the moment of truth. I'm going to open this bag up, and it looks like it worked. It looks perky. The leaves have perked back up, and I'm going to get this out of the bag so I can fully show you. So here we are. They look much better. The All Summer Beauty leaves have perked right up, and the buds on the bloomstruck look much better. They're not drooping anymore. They look like they might even flower. So we're gonna leave them on there and hope that we get some flowers this season. We're gonna use these bowls as saucers since I don't have any saucers on hand, and we're gonna leave them in the water, about 2 inches of water. It looks deeper now because the bowl is kind of curved, but it's about 2 inches of water that's in there. It is now August 19th. It's been about 23 days since we brought these home from Lowe's. They not only regrew their leaves, but they've both been flowering up a storm. They both look great. I left the bent stems on there and the flowers opened. So even though they were bent, they were still alive because they were still firm. So they just stayed in that shape, which is fine by me. As promised, they look exactly like the ones in the stores, probably better because they have a lot to take care of and they can't give it the care that we can. So here you go. I'm going to show you the other one. Here is the bloomstruck. All the flowers survived that ordeal. They didn't dry out, they didn't fall off. They actually opened. The stems are good, and they even made new buds. Look at this little one. It's really trying. That is adorable. They all look good. I love that it's multicolored. The leaves grew back. It looks great. I'm very happy with the result. So there you go. Next time you see a hydrangea on the clearance rack for a fraction of the price that it normally is, bring it home and try this method. You'll be happy you did. If you found this video useful, please hit that like button. It lets the algorithm know to suggest it to other plant enthusiasts like us. And don't forget to subscribe for more gardening shenanigans. Happy gardening!